Am I the a-hole for refusing to move out even though my roommate is 7 months pregnant? Hi guys, last week my roommate Becca found out she is not only pregnant but 7 months along. She texted me that we had to talk today and I had assumed she would be moving out soon for more space when the baby comes. Instead, she told me I have to move out to make space for the nursery and her baby daddy to move in. I'm on a terrible salary and cannot afford anywhere else to live. Plus, she wants me to move out right now so she can prepare for the baby. Even if I wanted to move out now, the apartment rentals in my area are either too expensive or well below living standards, so I don't want to move. She went absolutely crazy the moment I told her I wouldn't move out, because I'm ruining her motherhood experience by not letting her family live together. I pay rent here and my name's on the lease until at least the end of the year. I'm not going to pull out of the lease, and I told her that if she wants her little family together that she should move and I'll find someone to half the cheap rent with. That made her start crying and saying how I just want to ruin her life to the point her baby daddy had to console her and tell me to get out of their way already. I've not heard her stop crying since, but I think I'm totally valid that I don't want to leave. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to move out? Not the a-hole. This is a her problem, not a you problem. She wants the cheap rent for her and her BD. Your name is on the lease, you pay rent, she can't kick you out. However, be prepared for a very uncomfortable living situation from now on. Where does the BD live now? If she wants to move him in, he has a place already. Can she not move in with him? Opie replies, BD lives with his mom. It's been a bad roommate situation for years, but the rent is super cheap for where we live, so I've dealt with her. Honestly, I don't even know for sure if she actually is pregnant and just wants me out. Not the a-hole your name is on the lease and you both live there. The audacity to tell you to move out is outrageous. Opie replies, she has been a nightmare in general as a roommate, but this takes the cake. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my wife she's effing wrong and that my mom is right? I, 35M, have been married to my wife, 32F, for 5 years, and we've been struggling financially for the past few months. I lost my job about 3 months ago, and while I found part-time work, it doesn't pay nearly as much as before. We've had to cut back on a lot of things, but it feels like no matter what we do, we're still living paycheck to paycheck and even pulling from savings. Recently, my mom's 65F came over to visit, and she noticed how stressed I was about the money situation. She offered some advice on how we could save money, things like cutting down on takeout, meal prepping to avoid buying groceries multiple times a week, and switching to cheaper brands. My mom has always been frugal, especially when she was raising me and my siblings on a tight budget. I thought it made sense, especially since we're really trying to save wherever we can. I asked if she was willing to go through our spending and show where we could cut down. My wife agreed with this. She made a whole spreadsheet about our spending, and we are spending way too much on fun stuff. We don't need Starbucks every day and so on. It also became apparent that most of the fun spending was my wife's. To be honest, my wife didn't take the breakdown well and started arguing with my mom that her spreadsheet was wrong. She said that my mom's way of doing things is outdated and doesn't work for us. She doesn't want to give up buying organic produce, and she likes having variety in what we eat each week. I tried to explain that we need to make some sacrifices if we want to get out of this financial hole, but she kept insisting that things weren't as bad as I was making them out to be and that we just needed to ride it out. My mom left at this point and we were still arguing, and she told me she can't give up her takeout. She also went on about my mom being wrong. That's when I lost my patience and said, "You're effing wrong. My mom is right. She managed to raise 3 kids on 1 income, and we can't even cut back on groceries for a few months?" My wife got really upset, saying I am being a huge jerk for whining with my mom and that my mom is outdated. She's barely spoken to me since, and now I'm wondering if I went too far. But the way I see it, we need to be realistic about our situation, and my mom's advice could actually help us get back on track. Not the a-hole. Your wife agreed to go through your budget with your mom. Your mom took the time and effort to review things, and then it sounds like your wife was very rude and dismissive. As far as I know, math hasn't changed that much in the last 30 years, so it's not clear how your mom's views are outdated. Opie replies, "You are right, the math didn't change. The solution is simple even if it's unpleasant for a bit. Info. You mentioned your own loss of a job and working part-time. Does your wife work? Is she the primary earner right now?" Opie replies, She works part-time as doesn't wish to go full-time. It's not good for her mental health. I'm still the primary earner even with part-time. Next story. Am I the a-hole I offended my sisters while explaining why I didn't want children? I, 28F, have 4 siblings, one of them being disabled. The other 3 have kids. This post is about a 35F and B 32F. I have 4 kids, 17F, 15M, 14M, 9F. The younger 3 have severe physical and mental disabilities. B have 3, 12M, 7M, 2F. The oldest and middle have the same disabilities as my older sister's children, and the younger have Down syndrome. They are both SAM. All the children are in the disability programs my country offers, but there is not much money left, after all the medical bills of therapy and meds they need. Their husbands have okay jobs, but with the severity of the children's disabilities, it is hard to go by. On the other hand, I am single, child-free by choice, went to university, totally debt-free, have a master's, and work from home in my dream field. Last month, I bought my first house. I invited my family and friends for a housewarming this Saturday. I paid for 2 caretakers to care for their children so they could come. Everything was fine and fun. Until the end of the night, my friends had already gone home, and it was the 3 of us. They started to talk about me settling down, marrying, and having kids since I bought a house. I remembered that I didn't want kids. This talk circulated several times, until they asked me why for the 10th time. I told them, besides really not wanting to have a child, I love my freedom. I love the life that I already have. Thinking about our family DNA, that is a high chance of having a disabled child, that means more work and sacrificing. I don't want to sacrifice myself. I want to have money for hobbies, to take care of myself, for expensive clothes and hairdressers, to travel, to live and not just survive. I love them, they're great moms, but I don't want to make the sacrifices to be the same. I would be an awful and spiteful mom, and no one deserves that. From everything I said, the only thing they listened to was about not wanting a disabled child. They went on a spiral about how much of a blessing their kids are, how I am an egotistical BTCH, and so much more. They blocked me on social media and aren't answering me in the family group chat. My mom called to give me a speech about how my disabled brother 36M was a blessing in her life, how he is a gift from God, and uninvited me from Christmas because my sisters won't come if I come. I called my brother 39. His 2 children are adopted. He admitted a long time ago this was due to the high chance of disability in our family. He told me my delivery is rude, but they also suck. They should know not everyone wants kids. He encouraged me to apologize because I know how they are. Not the a-hole. I'm disabled myself. Honestly, it sounds more like your sisters want you to make the same decision in order to validate their decisions, which is a very human thing, but not really fair to you. You aren't them. They might love having kids and want more, and that is valid regardless of what anyone else does or does not want. Also, they are possibly taking out their own struggles with resenting the difficulties on you, no matter how much of a blessing children are. Even people who wanted them and who had able-bodied kids have moments when they just plain regret having them. It would be much healthier if people admitted and processed this. Not wanting kids is a valid choice, not wanting them because there is a high risk of disability, which means inevitable struggles, plus could be incredibly unfair to the child, is also valid. A lot of people fuss about how not wanting a disabled child is ableist without addressing that the chief reason is we live in an ableist society that begrudges even basic rights for disabled children and adults. Your sisters need to process their own internal worlds and reconcile the fact that not everyone wants what they want. Their decisions are valid regardless of other people, that it's okay to not always be happy about the outcomes of decisions we made, that they can love their kids and still be mad that it's such a struggle and so difficult sometimes. Not the a-hole. Honestly, I worked with special needs kids for over a decade. And there is a massive difference between a child born with a disability as a surprise and deciding to bring a child that you know will suffer into the world if there's family history. Not all disability is the same. Not all of them can have a quality of life. Some absolutely suffer until they pass. And knowingly doing that to your child for your own desires is selfish as F. You have the awareness to know you're not cut out for it. Good for you. Because not everyone is. They willingly decided to live that life, and you willingly decided against it. That's your right. Next story. Am I the a-hole for reminding my mom that she disappeared for 6 years? My 18 mom and dad divorced 6 years ago. Her new husband didn't want her to see my dad, and so she let my dad have custody of me and didn't exercise visitation. She contacted us last month, saying she had divorced him and would like to reconnect. Dad told me it's up to me, so I said, why not? Things have been kind of awkward between us. Obviously, I've changed a lot since last time she saw me. When she came over yesterday, I was reading an offer from a gentleman. My mom said, "You're too young to be reading these toxic romance books." I just stared at her and said, "I was 12 when you disappeared 6 years ago. I'm 18 now." She spluttered for a moment and then told me there is no need to use that word, that she made a mistake and there is no reason to throw it in her face. Not the a-hole. Accepting any criticism or correction from a parent who has abandoned you from 12 to 18 would be difficult. You've learned to grow up without her and don't need her showing up now trying to mother you. That ship sailed, piloted by her. That all said, I'm sure her abandonment hurt you. Maybe you two can build a bridge back to each other, but it will take time. Time you will need to be convinced you can trust her again. She can't demand anything from you. It will have to be earned for you to believe in her at all again. She proved herself to be a parent you could not rely on. Please know that no child, including you, deserves to be abandoned by a parent. That was her failing, not yours. Your words to her were accurate and spot on. Sadly, she doesn't sound like someone who has a clue what she did and how wrong and hurtful it was. Likely she will never be the mother you wish for. And yes, you were a child when she left, and you are now a young adult. She missed that entire transformation. Not the a-hole. She does not get to pretend like everything is suddenly okay. She has to make amends to you. If it were me, I'd make weekly joint counseling a condition of you having contact with her. You pick the counselor and she pays. You're in the driver's seat on this one. I'd also make it very clear that she has lots of work to do before she gets to resume the role of parent. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to keep paying black tax, even though my family is struggling? I'm a 28-year-old African woman working in a decent job as a teacher. I'm not rich, but I'm doing okay. Ever since I started working, I've been expected to help out my extended family, paying for groceries, covering school fees for cousins, sending money to my mom monthly, etc. In our culture, it's seen as a duty, what people call black tax. I understood this growing up. I've helped where I could. But lately, it's become too much. My siblings now expect me to cover everything, and my mom doesn't say no to them. I'm expected to help with bills, car repairs, and now even a wedding contribution for my younger cousin's wedding. I finally said, no more. I've started saving for my own life, therapy, travel, and a deposit for my own apartment. I told my family that I'm not a bank, and they need to start standing on their own feet. I told my mom I will only help with the needs, and she cried. My aunt called me whitewashed. My brother said I've become selfish and forgotten where I came from. But I've spent years putting their needs first. I've missed opportunities, drained my savings, and lived paycheck to paycheck while they bought new phones and clothes. I still love them. But I'm tired of carrying everyone. Am I the a-hole for choosing myself? Givers must set boundaries because takers never do. Not the a-hole. I'm a white dude. We don't have black tax, we just call it entitled people. If you're generous and God knows you have been, a lot of people can start taking it for granted and start expecting it. You've probably heard of the saying, don't set yourself on fire to keep someone else warm? Time to stop enabling. I would probably tail the assistance off fairly rapidly rather than cold turkey. It's easier that way. If your family thinks wanting better for yourself and escaping poverty by not wasting money is being whitewashed, then I would say declare yourself proudly whitewashed. But really all they are doing is trying to guilt trip you to keep the gravy train going. Stop enabling and start educating by the great example you're setting. All the best. Opie replies, I love this. I feel much better already. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not responding when someone doesn't use my actual name? My 16M name is Nico, and it's not short for anything. On my birth certificate, it says Nico middle name last name. This is something a few people can't understand, and some people call me Nicholas. Even teachers who see me on the class list as Nico and not Nicholas. I'm a foster kid. I've been in the system since I was 2. My mom is the only bio family I know, but she's not able to take care of me. I see her twice a year through court-ordered visits. But nobody in her family, and I don't have anything to do with my paternal side. I've been with my current foster family for 3 years, and I'm really happy with my foster parents and foster siblings. My foster parents actually want to help the kids they foster, and their kids are cool with their parents fostering and don't bully me or others for stealing their families. So I hope I get to stay until I age out of the system. My only problem is some of their extended family are snobs and they don't like calling me Nico. So they call me Nicholas even after being corrected a million times. My foster parents have explained that my name is actually Nico, not Nicholas. But the reply is always, but Nico is short for Nicholas. A couple of the extended family have encouraged me to change my name because Nicholas sounds much more professional for an adult male, which I will be soon. I was like, no thanks. My foster parents told me I should ignore whenever someone calls me Nicholas now. Unless they're new and just assume. But I can ignore their family members who do it. So that's what I did. I've ignored them a handful of times now, and it bothers them so much. Yesterday it happened twice because one kept trying to call Nicholas over and I just didn't go. The other asked Nicholas to pass the potatoes at dinner and I kept eating and didn't pass anything. I was then called out for ignoring them, and my foster parents said nobody knew who they were talking to because there was no Nicholas at the table. One of my foster sisters said she assumed it was her, Nicole, and they got confused, and that's why she passed it instead. I was told I should be more open to the wisdom others offer with name suggestions and stop being rude by ignoring people. Even though my foster parents backed me up again. It made me feel away because this really is my best foster experience and I don't want to piss off people in my foster family. So am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Your foster parents sound great and clearly have your interests at heart. Even the other kids, at least one anyway, are standing up for you. Your name is Nico, not Nicholas. It's extremely rude and disrespectful to deliberately call you by a name that isn't yours, especially with repeated corrections. It's even more rude and disrespectful to practically demand you change your name from something you like and see as yours to something you don't like and don't want. There's also nothing wrong with Nico as a name. Sure, it's not common, but it's not really weird either. Your name is your name and no one else gets to demand it be something different or call you by a name that isn't yours. Keep listening to your foster parents. It's them and their kids you want a good relationship with, not so much the extended family. And if you back down now, the extended family will never respect you and will continue to demand you change things they don't like against your will. Continue ignoring anyone who calls you by the wrong name unless it's an honest mistake. Continue listening to your foster parents and letting them stand up for you. That's part of their job as foster parents, and they're proving they're great at it. Not the a-hole. I'm glad your foster parents have your back. What they told you to do is exactly what I had to do for years. My last name, maiden name, was a very common first name as well. Lots of people would call me by my last name. I would ignore them until they called me either Ms. last name or just by my first name. I guess since I did it as an adult in work settings, I didn't get crap for it like your relatives are doing, but the message was finally received and respected. I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, make sure like, comment, share, and subscribe the channel our posts.